Good morning, poker winners. This is Frank Reese from KeepCalmAndRebuy.com, here with the fifth video in the series, the 1,000 Hand Challenge. Today we're playing buy-ins 4 through 7 of NL10 using the adjusted strategy. If none of that means anything to you, you can find information about the 1,000 Hand Challenge at KeepCalmRebuy.com. You can also find information about the 1,000 Hand Challenge, about short stacking, and about your plan to go from beginner to winner in the book Poker Beginner to Poker Winner in 1,000 Hands, available on Amazon or my website. Click on the links in the description. Let's go to our first hand in the big blind. We have Ace-10 Diamonds. Under the default strategy, we play Ace-10 Diamonds as a suited ace, not as two broadways. We have a raise in front of us, which under the default strategy means we would fold a suited ace. We have a raise and re-raise ahead of us, so we would definitely be folding suited ace. Our next hand, number 2, comes in the small blind, of course. Ace-9 offsuit is not playable under the default strategy. But since we are adjusting our default strategy, I go ahead and decide to complete in the small blind. Completing in the small blind is recommended against by nearly every expert, so completing in the small blind helps me begin to develop a fishy table image. We flop nothing, one ace overcard, nothing else. We get a raise and a call, and we fold. Skipping ahead to our next playable hand. Hand number 7, we're dealt King-Queen offsuit in MP1. We raise to 3x, a little less than we would raise using the default strategy. And we get through colors. We flop top pair, second best kicker. We face about a 3/4 pot bet. Under the default strategy, we would be pushing for all in at this point, but we decide to call. See if we can get some more money in the pot with what looks to be the best hand. We get a check from our remaining villain. And we have pot for value. We all in for value. Villain shows a weaker king, and we take down the pot. We have more than 50 big blinds at this point, so we're going to leave the table and rebuy for 30 big blinds. Buy-in number 4 went pretty quickly. And successfully, I might add. Let's see how we do with our 5th buy-in. On the blinds, we're dealt Jack-2 offsuit. Definitely not playable. Hand number 6, we get pocket queens, the red queens. We decide to make the default raise 4 big blinds plus 1 big blind for the raiser. Button thinks it over. He hates to give up the button, but he does. Big blind calls for a discount. And the under the gun limper, a full stack player, who should know better than to limp under the gun without a reasonably strong hand, decides to raise it up on us. If we had had a raise and a re-raise from 2 other opponents, we would have folded queens. But since we were the first raiser, we're going to go ahead and shove what is left in our stack in response to that 3-bet. Big blind decides he's seen enough. And we go to the flop for the classic ace-king versus a lower pair coin flip. We happen to win it this time. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. It's a coin flip, but because of the dead money already in the pot, the payoff odds are more favorable than 1-to-1. Therefore, on either side of those coin flips, your positive expected value plus EV. Okay, we're 59.4 big blinds, so again, we jump off the table, dumping our winnings into our account, and rebuying for 30 big blinds. We go to our 6th buy-in, only 20 minutes into the session. They're going pretty quick. Let's see if that trend continues, or if we go card dead for the next 40 minutes. Anything can happen at the poker table. Our first hand in the big blind, we get ace-7 offsuit. We have to be careful in the big blind because we often get a free play. We see the flop for free, often with hands that we would have folded if we cost us any money to see the flop. On a fishy table like the ones we select for, it often will limp around to the big blind. So understanding how to play from the big blind in a limp pot is very important. We go ahead and check it through. And sure enough, with our ace-7, we flop top pair. But it's top pair with a very middling kicker. So we're going to be very careful about investing a lot of money into this. But we can call a bet of 20 cents. Leaves it 3-way. On the turn, we pick up a little more equity. 5 will give us a straight. And since it checks around to us, we decide to bet half pot. We get 1 fold, 1 collar. On the river, we spike our 2 pair. We're going to bet this for value, hoping we're up against ace-king, ace-queen. But we have to realize it also may look like we're betting on a straight, so we significantly down bet, get 1 collar, and we got our thin value from our 2 pair. Hand number 2, we're dealt king-9 on the small blind. This is another good chance to work on table image. This is only our second hand, and we're going to complete the big blind if it gets limped and folded to us. Completing the big blind is recommended against by almost every expert. So completing the big blind helps us have a fishy image. Big blind checks through, we go to the flop and we flop absolutely nothing. There's a pair on the flop, a paired flop. So in the default strategy, we would bet half pot against one player for bluff. But since we're trying to work on our image a bit, we're going to go ahead and half pot bet into two players. This is the second hand we're playing, and we played both hands and we regressed both hands. This could give us a very loose image, the exact opposite of the way we intend to play for the rest of the session. It's folded around to us on the river, so we go ahead and take another stab at the pot. We bet half pot, villain calls, and chose a pair of deuces. That was actually a very favorable hand for our image. Hand number 17, we're dealt 10 jack of hearts on the button. We go ahead and raise to our standard raise. Oh, no, we decided to drop it down to 30 big blinds, 3 big blinds. This is the lowest part of our range on the button. And it gets folded to us just as we would hope with the lowest part of our range. Hand number 22. We get the snowmen. Under the gun, we raise 3 big blinds. While we're playing this hand, keep that loose, bluffy table image we've cultivated in mind. As we flop the third nuts, 8's full of queens. With such a strong hand, we might be tempted to just shove all in right now, but I believe the best way to get the most money out of this hand is to go along passively for a couple of streets. That club is a very favorable card for us, especially if villain 3 is on a flush draw that just filled. It's unlikely that he's going to let that hand go. And sure enough, he obliges with another bet. River appears to be a brick, unless he happens to have pocket fours. He likes his hand, he goes all in, we like ours, and he indeed has that flush. It's easy to be excited when you have a big win like this and go on winner's tilt where you feel invincible, but instead we're going to keep calm, cash out, and rebuy. And we go to the 7th buy-in. Hand number 3 of the 7th buy-in, we get 9-7 offsuit. Not a hand we would normally play. But I decided to limp it in on the button, again to start working on a fishy image. We flop an open-ended straight draw, a draw to a straight that will be very hidden if it should fill. Default strategy is to bet 3/4 pot with a strong draw, but villain bets into us. In a spot like this, I like a click it back mini raise. If villain calls this raise, the pot odds and the odds against winning will be approximately the same. But there's 2 additional factors that make this a good move. 1, villain may fold, and we take the pot without seeing any other cards, or the draw may fill and villain may put additional money into the pot because the straight is so hidden. Villain decides on option A, and we take the pot down. Hand number 5, we get ace-jack suited in the hijack position, which is middle position in the default strategy. With one mini raise, we decide to 3-bet. Ace-jack suited is a good hand to 3-bet with. Has potential to flop strongly, but it's not such a strong hand that we'd be disappointed if we get folds. We go to the flop. We get a runner-runner flush draw on a board that has a made straight. We also have 2 overcards. It gets checked through. On the board, we get top pair, strongest kicker. Because we check the flop, this half pot bet will look like either we caught top pair or that we're representing we caught top pair as a bluff. Villain 6 believes it's option B, the bluff. An overcard flops to our pair, so we check it through and take the pot. By hand number 10 of this buy-in, we've been playing for more than an hour, so we decided to sit out the next big blind and go ahead and jump off the table. This has been an action-packed session. Let's take a look at the results for this session on our Keep Calm Rebuy Win Rate Calculator, available for free on the website. As you can see, we had a very good 4 buy-in run in just a little over an hour. So far, we played for a total of 2.2 hours. We played 83 hands. We've won $9.96, which is 99.6 big blinds. We've won 45.9 big blinds per hour, which is, of course, $4.59 per hour. And we won a phenomenal 120 big blinds per 100. We got very lucky during this session, but we also made our own luck with disciplined play and wise adjustments.